Here's how you can get
Alright, here we are. Let's see. Audio level's looking good. My mic is actually activated this time. Alright, okay. That's a good start. Let me just slightly turn down my desk. There we go. How's everyone doing today? How are we? It's been a little over a week now since we did the last stream. Hey, Jagu, how you doing? It's been a little over a week now that we've done a stream. So I figured it's a better time as never, right? So, all right. Let me just make sure I've got everything open, because we're actually gonna do some development today rather than. Hey, Talon, how you doing? Glad to see you here. We're actually gonna do some development today instead of going over any particular topic, right? Obviously, we can still discuss all kinds of things about game development, about AAA, about game design. Always happy to do that, especially if you guys have questions. But I figured we'll do a bit more of a chill stream this week, so that you guys kind of get some kind of view on what I tend to do, how I tend to do things, and just to have a nice chill stream. So that was kind of my idea. I'm also seeing that something looks broken. As in my chat bot, or my chat box looks broken. When you guys sent that message, I didn't see it pop up in the chat on the screen. Or at least I think so. It might have done. I haven't seen it, right? So, yeah. No, I think this should be fine. It should be fine. All right. Okay. All right. Okay, so if I now press this, bingo bongo, there we go. All right, you guys can see most of the stuff I'm seeing. Yeah, so I figured one of the things I always like to do before I get started into a game developing session is I like to kind of go through the Epic Games Marketplace and just see if there's anything interesting that comes by, stuff that might be useful in the future. Because if you do that for even just a few months, I've been doing that for 6 years now. If you do that for 6 years, there's a lot of good free content that you can come by, right? That you can use. There's so much I have here, which sometimes I use none of it, sometimes I use all of it. But for example, there's one in particular. There is an entire action RPG multiplayer starter kit And this is the inventory one, but I also have a full project one that is somewhere in this massive list of things. Yeah, there's the advanced RPG system, but there's a multiplayer one as well. I thought I had it anyway. Just now going to look through the massive list and try to figure it out. But yeah, I basically have a ton of content because I've just been saving all the ones that are free. I have bought a few of these, but mainly, I think only like 10% of these are actually bought. The rest are all free. And so there's just some really cool stuff in here. For example, I was working on a kind of like a Factorio style game, but instead of mining resources and kind of like taking that path, it would be that you are processing bodies that get sent to hell. And so this dismemberment and bone break system was super useful because it meant that I didn't have to code it myself. It meant I could just plug it in, make a prototype with it, and see if it was something cool or not. That last part I still need to figure out if it's something cool or not. I haven't spent enough time on it yet. But that's kind of why I go through the marketplace every now and then. Here, for example, this one. It looks excellent. The AWS game kit. This looks like the exact thing that so many people, if you're working on a multiplayer game, this would be so useful to have. Now, I'll never try multiplayer on my own because just the scope of that is so huge. There's no point, in my opinion. For example, free for the month, right? They do it start every month. I got all of these because maybe in the future I'll need a horse starter kit. Who knows? Maybe I'll make Red Dead Redemption 3, right? And then I'll need horses. And so I really like to just go through stuff. And there's quite a bit of shovelware as well, obviously. But if you spend a bit of time looking through stuff, there's some really cool stuff in here. This one as well. I know that if you have to make a circular loading bar or a circular progress bar inside of Unreal Engine, you have to do some pretty like wacky shader math to get it done, because there's no like standard system for it. But if you can buy it for €5.71, you know, it either costs you €5.71 or it's going to cost you 15 hours to get right. You know, that's kind of like the decision you have to make at that point. And there's so much more stuff like that. Like especially with some of the animation stuff, it's just, you know, insane to try and do everything yourself. For me, sound effects and music and stuff, can't do it. And so in those cases, I'll just go around and get something, right? And I think in my current library, I have... Yeah, I've got the ballistics FX. I can filter it on effect stuff. Oh, hold on. There we go. And then sound effects. So I've got this one. This one's actually tagged as sound effects. But where is it? If I go into all again and just untag the ones where I know it's not going to be in. Environments won't be in. Materials won't be in. Megascans won't be. I'll leave it at this for now. Weapons. If I go through this list for a second, I have all the visual effects. I have the ballistic sound effects. I have the... where is it? Where is it? It's in here. I know it is. I saw it a while ago. Oh no, then it must only be this one. The Ultimate SFX and Music Bundle. But this is like, I think it's like 300, 400 sounds. And so I love to use it. And there's just so much more good stuff like that. For example, this one as well. This one is really solid. For those of you that don't know, lighting in games, and I'm no expert in lighting, I'm really not, but I do know that, as you can see in here, these light profiles are actually used on websites of Philips and other brand light manufacturers, and the light profile determines how the light gets transmitted into space, right, into the room that it's in. And so applying a different light profile to the same light can make the effect wildly different, right? And you can see that in here, right? So some of these, like, look at how different some of these effects get based on the light profile that you apply to it. And these are like really small, nice things that you can use to make your lighting feel so much better rather than just general lighting, right? So it's one of those things that I picked up a few years ago for free, and it's just awesome. It's just so cool. Yeah, the monster AI kit. So I got the monster animation kit. Let me see if I can. It's in animations. Yeah, the creature animations kit is what I got. And there's just like a ton of different types of animations in here that are either rooted or not, and it is so useful. If I wanted to make a zombie shooter, I totally could. Simply with those animations alone. So yeah. So I always tend to kind of like look through this and just see if there's anything new. And in this case, because I work in Unreal Engine 5, I tend to filter on it and make sure that it's actually compatible. But looking through this stuff, I'm not sure if there's actually anything I need at the moment. Hey, Jumbo, thanks for the follow. I really appreciate you. How are you doing today? Ooh, holographic display. That looks cool. I don't need it, but it looks cool. Bath time animations. Awesome. That is so cool that people take the time to do that stuff. What else is in here? Let's see. Animals pack. Punch sound effects. Oh, this is at the bottom again. Yeah. Zombie voices. Very cool. Ambient music and the underwater world. Ultimate screwdriver set. So you might wonder, okay, who's going to actually need this in their games, right? And of course, there's games like the car mechanic simulator games, right? Of course, there's games like that where maybe you want a really detailed screwdriver. But the great thing about Unreal Engine is that there's a lot of companies using it in order to make their 3D presentations about stuff. So companies like IKEA, I don't know if IKEA actually uses Unreal Engine, but companies like IKEA will 100% use assets like this that they then don't have to model themselves in order to create really accurate and really good-looking instruction videos. Sci-Fi starter pack high poly. This does not look optimized for games, but it looks very cool. It's also a bit pricey, but well, I say that this is not pricey at all for what you're getting. It's just a lot of money. That's always the difference, right? Like stuff is either like there's stuff that's expensive, and then there's stuff that is just a lot of money, but what you're getting for it is, you know, incredible. Also, I see that it's nanited, so in that case, high poly doesn't matter. Hey, good, thanks. Been learning Unreal Engine slowly for around 18 months now. How are you? I'm doing good, thank you. And a great job on learning Unreal Engine. I can attest to the fact that it's a steep learning curve, and I'm still learning so much. Right, I am by no means an expert. I've been using it for 6 years now, starting with UE 4.8, I think. I think it was 4.8 or 4.9. And there's always more to learn, right? There are so many tools and so many things to use, and so many little cases where all of a sudden you need to learn about something. So the learning never stops. But I'm good, thanks. If you have any questions, by all means, feel free to ask away. I refuse to learn any C++, just focusing on VPs. I am right there with you. Blueprints all the way. Blueprints all the way. All right, I'm gonna look through one more page to see if there's anything interesting, and if there's not, then we'll dive into the engine. Oh, look at that! A stylized forest village. Very cool. What else is here? Whoa, what's this? Sniffer tongue whip. I don't even know how to look at that image, but okay. Very cool. Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay. Let's dive into the engine, shall we? As you can see, I've got tons of projects because, of course, I do. But yeah, blueprints are amazing. I really enjoy using them. I don't know any C++ either. I am thinking of picking it up at some point, especially for multiplayer. I feel like it might be useful. But for any kind of prototyping and for any kind of like late stage production, I use blueprints because why not? It's not like my games need to be super performant on a Intel Pentium, right? So then blueprints is fine. But you might be wondering, what are we working on today? Well, for that we need to dive into my Asana board. I really want to make a simple game, but the engine is so cool, my ideas just kept branching off. Yeah, that happens. That happens a lot. And I mean, you know, seeing as you keep learning stuff. No, I don't want to restart now. Seeing as you keep learning stuff, it's fine. And at some point you'll decide for yourself, okay, I know enough about the engine now to focus on something that I actually want to release, right? And at that point, it becomes important to stick to a project. But for now, you know, if you want to keep learning stuff, then by all means, feel free to do so. Right, so what are we working on? There's a few things. I've never shown this project before on a live stream. Because, ironically enough... Hey, Asa, how you doing? No episode today about trying to share my knowledge on all kinds of things. No, there's definitely nothing like that. Whoa, that's a long name. But Dmitry Maximov Galara, thank you very much for following. I hope you're doing amazing. Let's have a look. I was at a startup festival yesterday, and they had a pitching contest there. My classmates who made Platformity participated in the contest, got second place. Congratulations! They won office space for 2 years. Wow, that is so much money. Holy balls, that is amazing. Tell them congratulations from me. That's really, really cool. That is super awesome to see. Yeah. So, what are we working on today? That's what I was talking about. So there's quite a few things to do, right? Because I'm working on a project which I'm checking. Oh, the engine runs rather smoothly on stream. Very cool. So I'm working on a project right now, which is basically, it's somewhere in between a hardcore platformer and something really cutesy, like your Mario's, right? Stuff like that. And this is still very, very prototypey. It really is. But I've prototyped this now 6 times, I think, and I've finally gotten it to a point where I know that the gameplay loop's pretty good, and I'm pretty happy with the gameplay loop, which is why there's already quite a few bits of art here and there. But there's a few things I want to improve, right? And so one of the tasks we'll be working on today, if I just get through this little level bit, this is the first level, so it's obviously very, very easy. When the player makes it to the flag, you can see, and I'm going to quickly shift 1 and eject. What you can see here is that it times per section how long the player takes to complete the section, right? And so what I want to do is that if the player is unhappy with their section time, right, because the ultimate goal is to get the shortest amount of time possible to completing the level, what I want to do is make sure that if a player decides to retry this level section by walking into the spinning arrow, I want to make sure if they reach the flag the second time, that it shows the player how much faster or how much slower they were. Now, there's 2 ways to do that, right? Or, well, 3 ways to do that. Either A, I'm going to take a screenshot of this and put it in a image editing software to show you guys what I mean. Because there's a few ways to kind of like approach the UI piece for this. Because I don't think I'd have a way to do this without UI, I think. Alright, new document. No, wrong one. This one. Okay, so if we just drag this out for a minute, like that is fine. Actually, I want to see the top of the screen. So there's a few ways we can do this. The first thing, don't pay attention to the shitty art here, right? The first thing is that if I place this in the middle real quick, maybe a bit less wide and a bit less high. There we go. And I make this, I don't know, something a little more subtle, like that. What I could do is have this section, like this little block, pop up, and then it says something like section 1. Let's make sure that's white. It says something like section 1 right there in the middle. Probably in bold, I reckon. Yeah, something like that. Maybe all caps as well. That's fine. Section 1, and then it says previous time, and then current time. Both of these have got to be a little bit smaller, like that, something like that. And then next to that, it'll say something like 00, 05, 82, right? That's the time we see here. That was the previous time, and then the new time, I don't know, let's say they were a little bit faster, so it was still 05, but it's now 67, right? So that is one way that we could inform the player of the progress they've made. Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that the player makes an informed decision whether they're going to continue on to the next section, right, by walking through the check mark, or if they're going to walk through the retry circle and try the section again, right? So this kind of clearly shows, okay, the player was faster. However, there's still a few problems with this. I'm kind of like live prototyping this because I haven't thought about this yet. I'm doing it live with you guys. There's a few problems with this because if I am thinking of non-native English speakers, this might be confusing. And so what I might want to do is slightly increase the size of this, like so. Create a slight bit like that. Let's zoom in a little bit. Let's make that white. Let's make sure it's at full opacity. Let's make it even a bit less white, I think. Something like that. Yeah. And then we could say, okay, let's pull this down. The difference between those two things is 15 milliseconds. Oops. So I could say, all right, 15, and I could make that whole section nice green, nice green, nice green, nice green. That kind of vibes with this. Something like that. Maybe it's not the best color, but it kind of works. And then maybe even what you want to do is say, okay, let's do minus. Let's drag this back so that it kind of adjusts. There we go. Right. So this way you could kind of indicate, okay, this is the improvement you have. This is the way I'm thinking of doing it. However, that's not the only way I could do it. Because this involves quite a bit of text. And if anything, I want to make sure that people can keep going pretty quickly. What I could also do is take this, put it here, make it a bit smaller. Well, maybe not too small, right? Kind of like that, maybe. And have it kind of pop up there when they reach the flag that it says, okay, you're now 15 milliseconds faster than you were previously. Something like that, maybe. Or I could say, instead of showing, well, I could also append it and say, alright, it's 15 ms faster. But again, then I'm relying on native speakers. Because equally, the other scenario here would be to say slower, and then to make it red, right? It's not a great red, but you guys kind of understand what I mean. are you going to have proper names instead of just section plus number? Good question. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe. Should I do that? Do I have anything against it? I definitely don't have anything against it. Mostly that it just means... I'm not entirely sure. Because on the one hand, you could say, okay, Section 1 makes it really easy. Like if I'm talking to someone else who's playing a game and they say, oh, Section 3 of Level 5 was hard or too hard, then I could pretty easily find what they're talking about. If I give it like, oh, if the first section's called, I don't know, A Wonderful World or something, then if they say, oh, I was playing through A Wonderful World in Level 1, then I suppose it's still easy to find. I suppose it's still easy to find for me. For now, we'll keep it just sections, but maybe in the future I can give it proper names. It's definitely a good point. It's something I'm going to add onto the Asana board. Let's put it in backlog. Specific section names. And then in the description, instead of saying section 1, we could also say A Wonderful World. Something like that. Alright, okay. You could just do a second NMS for time difference. Yes. Wait, do you mean this example here at the bottom, or on the side of the screen? Do you mean this, or do you mean something different? Because on the one hand, right, because we're also talking about clarity, this is very clear, as in it's right there in your face, you can't miss it, right? This is a lot more subtle. Instead of all the extra zeros. Right, yeah, okay, yeah, for that, yeah. Yeah, I could go for that. I could, oh, right, you also mean, right. I could actually combine the two, and say something like, I'm just trying to figure out how that's slow, or how that's, how that would work. 15 ms faster. Something like that. It has to be a little bit smaller because it's too big at the moment. It has to be like something like that. But then the math part wouldn't really make sense anymore. Oh, I could also say, let's make this a bit bigger. Let's delete this one. Let's make this white again, like so. And then we can say faster than previous run. Something of the kind. I'm not sure in the exact wording, but something like this, right? I'm also just checking the music real quick because it seems to have turned off. Oh no, it's just very quiet. Oh yeah, there we go. It just broke for a minute. Okay, awesome. Alright, minus 0.15, something like that. I mean, sorry. Oh, right. I could do that. However, what you would create, I think, because everything else in the game is annotated as, you know, the minutes, the seconds, and the milliseconds, right? If I were then to say it's 0.15 faster than last time, that could mean 15 seconds faster than last time, 15 milliseconds, not 15 minutes, because you still have the original 0. So that could kind of get confusing, right? So that's kind of why I wouldn't do that, I think. But I could do something like this, right, where the word colors based on whether you're faster or slower, right? And so you'd have, essentially, if I'm slower, it'll first of all say slower, but to give it a visual language, it could do that, right? It could be something like this. I picture kind of like it's set up in splits for speedrunners. Speedrunners wasn't originally the original intention, as in terms of a target audience. But there is a lot of systems in my game that would allow for it, right? That would definitely encourage it. One of my design pillars at the end of the day is to have the to enable the players to come up with the fastest route through a level. And so speedrunners naturally very much fits into that. So it is definitely possible. If I'm entirely honest about everything we mocked up just now, I like this system. I like the faster, slower thing. There's only one edge case, though. I'm gonna reword run to attempt. That's the first thing I do. I'm not entirely sure why. I'm not sure if I can explain why. It just feels better. Let's center this up properly. There's only one edge case that we should think about. So let me just quickly go ahead and save this. Let's see, under project, memory platformer. Oh, actually, no, I have this somewhere else, don't I? Where did I save these things? Oh, in assets, I think. Yep, under the assets, there it is. And then I'll put it inside of 3D platformer, and I'll say UI art, and then we'll call this mockup one, faster element. Cool. Then I'll know what it says. Because what we got to do, we got to create a new one. Actually, we'll copy all of this, and we'll create new from clipboard. What happens when it is the first time the player hits the flag? What does it say? Because at that point, we don't have a previous attempt, right? So there's nothing to compare to in terms of the code. Oh, that's actually a very good point, Jumbo. That's actually a very good point. I like that. Yes. Ooh, hold on. I can make another example from this. Yeah, you make a very good point, good sir. Or madam. I'm not sure, but it's okay. So, what I'll do is I'll color this as this. I'll remove all of the other text, right? And then I just say plus. And then for this one, remove all of the other text and say, all right, the color for this is that. And then we say minus. All right, this could be an even better thing, right? This could be it. Sure, gotcha. All right. Yeah, like that. Yeah, so this could be even smoother. And this could also mean that we slightly reduce the size of this, which means what's the middle of the screen? There it is. There we go. Yeah, and these are the two different scenarios, right? So we've got scenario 1 and scenario 2. Okay, so that's an example. Let me just save that as a mockup. Mockup 2, faster element. All right. And then the other example I could do. Oops. Oh no, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. The other thing I meant to do, what was it? Oh yeah, this is the edge case, right? Let's say that's the first time the player comes across the flag. It should instead say, if I want to make this languageless, because I could obviously say stuff like time set, and then, you know, say whatever the time says, right? Whatever the time says. However, again, for non-native speakers, this might be confusing. Well, then I could just do this, right? And color it as blue. Color it as something other than orange. Because obviously we've got red and green. Orange is the natural middle between those two things. However, the background is orange because of the game. This is not the right thing. Let's see, what kind of a good color can we find for this? What is a good color here? Something either pinkish, purple, blue. Maybe it can be white with a slight bit of color. So definitely nothing in this range because you can barely read it. Oh, this is kind of a nice color. This kind of works. If you're worried about color clash, could you outline your text? I could totally outline my text. You're totally right. That could totally be a thing. Where is it? There it is. Yep, you're totally right. I could then even color it like this. Oh, look at that. 2 pixels of outline. That is not shabby. That is not shabby at all. If I apply that to the other ones, outline. Oh, nice. Nice. Now the only thing is I'm not entirely sure if you can outline text in Unreal Engine. I think you can though. Pretty sure you can. There's quite a bit of actually something we can check right away. Let's stop that. Blueprints, UI master. Let it open up for a minute. Oh yeah, I was working on the settings menu last time. This is a few weeks ago. I haven't touched this project in a few weeks. Where is it? Main menu. Go away. Game UI. And it's obviously locked. Dash reset can be locked. Level section times. You need to be unlocked. Alright. Section 1 text. I'm sure again, but haven't used the widget in a while. Yeah, that's why I'm looking at it now. There's a shadow offset, which could function as the same thing. Outline settings. Here we go. Now I'm just wondering if this also counts as pixels. Yes, it does. Let's check this out. Nice. That looks really cool. If we apply a little bit of letter spacing. Can I get 5? Why is that not? Oh, okay. It's just a really sensitive 50. Does that feel too distant? Very well could do. I'm just gonna quickly, alright, to see the whole picture essentially. And then basically for all of these apply 50 and an outline of 2. Oh, it does fall out of the outside the. Oh no! Don't move the whole game UI. Just this one, please. There we go. All right, if I just apply that, right, and then play the game real quick. Oh, that does look quite nice. Because then it means regardless of the background, it looks better and better. Very nice. That's a good suggestion about the outline. That's a very good suggestion. Thanks for that. Yeah, and then it flashes colors, and green means set. Bollocks. I'm bad at my own game. Because then I have to do it for the top one as well, right? For the timer in the top, which is barely visible. I just realized. Oh fuck! I'm bad at my own game. Yeah, that works. The outline works really nicely, and I don't think that the letter spacing is too intense. I don't think it's too intense at all. Jesus. And this is the easiest level in the game at the moment, so... and if I apply it to all of this as well, I think that's going to be really solid. Alright, that's a really cool adjustment. Alright, okay. I'm going to just... oops. I'm just going to attach that to my Asana board. Make sure I have it on there. Developing. Add text outline to game UI elements. Alright, assign it to myself. It's the only person here. And then let's letter spacing needs to be 50, and letter outline, is that the name of the variable? Outline size. Outline size is 2. Alright, awesome. Okay, then I have it there for the future as well, in case I need to reference it again. Okay, very awesome. I like that. I like that a lot. But then it still leaves the question, how do we approach the situation when someone sets their time for the first time? Gotcha. Relative to the size of the text. Yes. How much would that matter in terms of if we do the same to this really large text? Yeah, because a really large text, you could even say that doesn't need the spacing. Yeah. But this one definitely does. Yeah, because else it starts to overlap a little too much, more than I'd like. And if I apply 50 to this, then it's definitely less the case. And I think there's only 3 text sizes that I have. Where are you? Here you are. Yeah, so I've got 48, 36, 24. I don't have anything smaller than 24 at the moment. Because for 48, if I do an outline of 2, that's almost too small, you would say. Well, let's try 4. And let's see how that looks. Because the numbers and everything are pretty nicely separated. Because I don't think the 50 would do that much in this case. I think it would need to be more, if anything. Because if I just go across the line and it starts counting, so for 1 and 2 and 3, so 4, like the number 4 still gets really close to the 0. So I think in this case, let's try doubling the letter spacing. And then once we found like the right values, we can write it down. I need to move the element in a second, but 100 seems fine. 100 seems like a good distance. Oh, but the only problem at that point, and I'd have to adjust that in the code. Let's first off move this a bit. Ooh, let's move it a bit back. It did not like that. The inspector UI is freaking out. But if I apply this in the code, it's called getText0. Where is it? getText0. Right here it is. So what I would need to do, this looks more complicated than it is. This is pretty. This is still pretty okay. I'm just having a look. Where is the? Oh no, it's here. It's here. Never mind. So what I've done here, right? Initially to space the numbers and the semicolon apart a bit more. Thanks for the comment, Roy. I appreciate it. To space the numbers and the semicolon a bit more, I put a like a space on each side, as you can see, right? If I can select it, there you go. However, now with the letter spacing applied, it makes it too large, too much space, right? So, if I just compile that for a second, and we go back into game, if we then... This looks a lot better. This looks quite a bit better. Yeah, this looks better. This is starting to look better. Okay. Much cleaner. Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's much, much better. And it also, like, it pops out much more this way. One of the previous, like, what it looked like previously, made it look, made it kind of, like, blend into the background too much. And so this is kind of, like, a really nice way to ensure that it looks good. Now, the only thing is, right, the last thing I'm not entirely happy with is at the moment, this one, I think it needs a bit more as well, right? Because obviously with the word text block, it looks weird, but we don't have the word text block in game. We have numbers in game. Yeah, I think 100 for, at the very minimum, the numbered blocks, right? The blocks of text that actually have numbers in them rather than text. I think 100 letter spacing is a lot better. Let's make sure we apply 50 letter spacing and 2. There we go. And then also for this stuff, so this one, this one, this one, this one, those two already have it, this one and this one, you will get 50 letter spacing and an outline size of 2. Oh, I have to resize it a bit in a second. And then the text blocks get letter spacing of 100. And oh, hold on, I see that I've done something wrong. I also have 2. I've done something wrong. Hold on. Where is it? End of level screen, and then it's further down. End of level screen edition. Here it is. I need to leave you in the same place, but I just need to disable your. Hey, Starberry, how you doing? I'm currently doing some development, working on some UI stuff, and together with chat, we are figuring out some very cool things that we are currently focusing on, which just makes the UI looks that much cleaner. I am wondering, why does this look weird? Why does this look out of line? What's the alignment here? It's full. The alignment is the same. Except this one's set to fill. This one's also set to fill. Why is this one bigger then? This one's set to fill. This one's set to fill. Oh, is it because this one doesn't have letter spacing yet? Yep, there we go. Very cool. Okay, alright. So, that is all of those completed. And I don't even know the text on screen at the moment. Okay, alright. So, compiling that and saving it. And then playing through the whole flow for a moment would allow us to see everything. Yeah, so the numbers look much cleaner, much more clear. Just grab some iced coffee, got a productive day ahead. They've taken their time with the move, lol. Alright, nice. Iced coffee. But you mean like as in your moving place? Because that's hard work. That is definitely hard work. I've moved place 3 times in the last year and a half. It's not fun. I definitely don't want to see a moving truck again. And thanks for the compliment. I really appreciate it. Most of this stuff is free assets, by the way. We just moved 8 hours away. Wow, 8 hours. That is significant. That is really, really far away. I've moved, I think, the first house we moved from is like 300 meters that way. Then we moved to a house that's like literally 100 meters that way, but it got demolished at this point. It's gone. There's no house there anymore. The house we moved to after that is like 3 kilometers that way. And then from there, we moved here, which is, 3 kilometers this way again. So for me, like, I was all like in a really close area to move. But 8 hours is incredible. This is my first time outside of living where I was born area-wise. Yeah, that sounds like a big step. Well, hopefully you enjoy the new area you're in. Hopefully it's very pretty and it offers some good opportunities, right? That's kind of the idea. All right, all of the text seems to do well. And then the end of level screen. Okay, that looks good, I think. Oh, the text on the buttons. The text on the buttons doesn't have anything assigned to it yet. It's very peaceful and I can go outside without melting. That sounds nice. I hope a game does some fun side project those biz launch goes well, but one thing at a time. Yeah, good luck with all of those things. Good luck on the launching of your own business. That's really, really cool. And let's hope the game dev gives you some peace of mind as well, right? Okay, so right now, I'm kind of already doing this task as we are, but what I just want to describe real quick is for the different fonts, right? So if font equals 48, we have a letter spacing of 100 and outline size of 4. If font size equals, I should add size here up here as well, size equals 36, we have letter spacing of 50 and outline size of 2, right? That's what we decided. And if font size equals 24, then we also have letter spacing. Oh no, wait, this is 100 as well. This is also 100. If we're font size 24, wait, is that 100? Let's double check. Nope, it's 50. Oh yeah, because we weren't doing it by font size, were we? We were doing it by if it's text or if it's numbers. So if the text block contains only words, right? Then this counts, right? Then we do all of the below. Which is 48, 104, 36, 50 and 2, and then 24 is also a letter spacing of 50 and a outline size of 2. And then if the text block contains numbers, then we got to make sure, copying all of this over, then we got to make sure that this one is 100. Basically that the letter spacing changes to 100, right? That's kind of the idea. Alright, so that's all in there now. What kind of program language are you using? So this is Blueprints, and basically it is Visual C++ is what it comes down to. And so all of this, I don't have Visual Studio installed at the moment, I think. Yeah. It's going to try and open C++, Visual Studio. I don't have it installed, so it can't. But essentially it is C++. So that's basically what it is. But it's a visual way of doing it, because when you have normal C++, it's basically only text. And I find that hard to understand, even though it's the exact same logic. For me, I just kind of like in my head, I can't figure it out. And so to see something visually, like flowing from left to right, and this is a bit of a simple example, but if I look at something like yeah, if I go into my my main character, actually, this is a terrible example. Hold on. If I go into, what could I go into that has quite a bit of logic in it? Oh, the game mode has quite a bit of logic in it. So, going back into, where's the main event graph? So, I guess I'm making this a quick crash course. Begin play is the start of, as soon as the game starts playing, right? As soon as the game activates, as soon as the instance activates, this essentially gets fired, right? Like a signal gets sent, right? Like an electrical signal, and it goes from left to right. So it goes from begin play into a sequence, which is just something I can use to fire multiple different things in a certain order, and it basically keeps doing that, and it keeps executing what it comes across, right? So in this case, I've hidden a bunch of code inside of a function, and inside of that function, that same signal comes through, goes through the sequence. It first does the zero branch, where it goes through, and it checks if the game instance is alive. If it is, then set the reference to it, right? And so it keeps doing that with all these different things, and basically, it keeps for me things very visual and very organized. Whereas opposed to, like, if you were to do this in C++, I don't actually know how to do it in C++, I've got no idea, then this would just be lines of code, and you could figure out the order of stuff, you know, because it's still going from top to bottom. You can still figure out the order of stuff, but for me, making it visual just helps so much in understanding what I'm doing. And so this is one of those things that, yeah, that's just really nice to do. It gets a little complex sometimes, like in here. I can't believe I'm saying this about myself, but I have it relatively well organized. But it's basically, there's a whole lot of code hidden in a whole lot of different functions. But it basically allows me to just keep the order of things pretty clear. So that's kind of why I do that. That's why I use blueprints rather than C++. Okay, so this is all figured out. Now, there's only one question remaining to answer. If the text block is inside a button, right? Because that's another use case. Yeah, it's really nice to have visualized. Yeah, it really is. It's super helpful. And I think without the visualization aspect, it would have been much harder for me to get into it, right? That's kind of the thing for me. So if the text is in a button, what do we do? What do we do when the text is inside a button, which we can see if we close this and this and this. Where is it? End of level screen. If we just make that appear again and we hide this one. If the text is inside a button, do we still want to give it outline 2? And then letter spacing 50? Is that still what we want to do? Or do we want to give it letter spacing 100? Or do we even want to give it outline 2? Maybe outline 1. Oh, 1 makes it look very small. What if we do 1.5? Oh, you can't do 0.5s. You can only do 1 or 2. Because 2 looks too thick with letter spacing 50. With letter spacing 100, it works. But if we do 1 and we do letter spacing 50, or even letter spacing 0, that might be enough already. Let's see. Bollocks. Right, come on. I gotta do it right this time. Alright, here we go. For me, it's remembering my levels. That's like the hard part for me. I always forget how my levels go. Here we go. Alright, so let's see what the buttons look like. What do we think? Do we think the buttons, that the text is clearer this way? It's definitely better than without an outline, I think. but I'm just thinking, do we need that letter spacing or not? Let's try it with the letter spacing. Let's see what happens when we do that. This time I'll also play from here. Play from here. What would happen if you jump through between the accept and retry icons? Haha, I've thought about that. Because I knew people would try that. I'll show you in a second what happens. Do we think it's better with the level spacing? Letter spacing? For the buttons specifically? Because for the text it looks much better. But for the buttons, I'm just wondering. I don't know. Maybe I think it's maybe even too little at the moment. Let's play from here again. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I don't know. 100 is already better. Why do I have a feeling it's not being applied? Also, Jago, totally keep breaking things. That is the best way to learn about stuff. The more stuff breaks, the more you learn. Because the more you fail, the more you learn, the more you can succeed. It seems counterintuitive, but it's the best way, the fastest way to learn, in my opinion. Maybe even more? What if we do something ridiculous? I don't know, something like 500. Look at how ridiculous that looks. But let's see what that looks like when we're in game, because that's the scenario that matters. Okay, yeah, that's okay. That's a little bit ridiculous. So let's scale it down a bit. 250. Let's see what it looks like in game then, because I have a feeling that 100 is just not enough. 250 might also be too much. I think 200 is our sweet spot. I think 200 might very well be our sweet spot. Oh, bollocks, hold on. Whee! Alright, very nice. Okay. Alright, let's have a look. Yeah, 200 looks pretty good. How do we like 200? 200 is a good number? Yeah, looks good. Okay. Alright. Then I just want to try one last thing, because I'm noticing here with the numbers, I just want to see what that looks like when there's actual numbers in there. It's just something I want to quickly see. Just making sure. Also, I should totally show you guys a cool trick that I added in a second. I'll first show what happens when you try to jump in between in a second. So when you've got numbers, do we think the semicolon is still too close to numbers? Because especially when you look here, like in between the semicolon and the 6, feels very close, doesn't it? And here as well. It just looks a little too close, in my opinion, in these cases. So what I'm going to do... also, 200 is a good number, so let's add that. If the text box is inside a button... let's also... And it only contains words. Then we can just do... letter spacing 200, outline size 1. The second might be a bit too crowded, especially if you play on lower resolution. Yeah, I'd agree. So that means that if we look at the blocks that contain numbers, I think we want to set all of these to 200 as well. Especially seeing as we're dealing with higher levels of outline size, right? For inside the button, it's only 1. And for the outline size in the text blocks that contain numbers, it's already 2. So let's see if we want to apply that real quick. Let's see, this can hide again, and this can be unhidden. Actually, not these two. I want to, yeah. And let me make this specific. Contains numbers, time format. And I want to make an extra section that says if text contains numbers, and then plain numbers. And I'll show you why I'm differentiating between the two in a moment. So for time format, I want to say 200 between all of these. And for plain numbers, I want to keep it at 100, I reckon. Or maybe even 50. Cool. Alright. Because, let's first apply all these to 200. Like so. And then also for this one, we want to apply 200. And for these ones as well. Like that. 200. And then we gotta drag the whole thing again. Oh no. Gotta drag the whole thing again. Little sections time. Maybe a little bit freestanding, like so. To account for any like broad borders of like screen frame. Something like that. Alright. Let's take a look, shall we? Yes. Oh, that's looking very wide. That's looking very wide. Too wide. At least in the case of the section times, it looks too wide. Then we very much come back again to like what we had previously, right? Which was not as clean. Yeah, I think that's too wide. Whoa. I've got something in my eye. I've got a snake in my boot. Yeah, 200 is too wide. 200 is way too wide. Okay. If 200 is too wide, let's try 150. Let's see how that works in a second. But what I really wanted to show, which is why I was differentiating it, if we take the text block number, and we would have put this to 200 as well, and I would then go in here, and I would jump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the double digits, right? Thanks for adding another line to my list of smack talk. Yeah, sure, no worries. Look at how far apart that gets, right? So for plain numbers, I definitely want to stick to 50, I think. I think 50 is perfectly fine for plain numbers. Let's make sure this one also has 50. Okay. Then for these ones, and this one, and this one, and this one. Oh, multiple values? Oh yeah, because of this guy. Yep. Let's make this all 150. There we go. Let's make this 150. And let's make this 150. Just to check what that looks like. Let's try and dash where we can. And try to not die, obviously. Also, Jago, I'll show you what happens when you try to jump in between. There's just an invisible block there. Now, there is an argument to be made for making this like an art asset. Because right now it's just a blocking volume. But for right now, it's just a blocking volume. And the tech actually gets a bit cooler, and I'll show that in a moment. Because right now, you also can't go back. And you can't go through this one either. You can't jump it or anything. You also can't jump around. Oh, you can jump around it. I'll fix that. Yeah, I'll fix that. But yeah, the times look a lot better at 150. 150 letter spacing. Because it feels at the very moment they're not touching each other. But that might be a good thing that they're touching each other. If I make this a bit smaller. Ooh. Unreal Engine does not like that. I mean, it works, right? Is auto-sizing the text an option? It was fairly critical for me in my Unity project when it came to doing translations. Yeah, it might be. I'm not entirely sure if that's an option. So let's make sure we stop playing. There is definitely a way, I'm thinking right now. There is totally a way in which I can detect screen resolution. I can, and based on what it detects, if it's above a certain thing, right? If it's above, I don't know, if it's above like 720, I could say, okay, set letter spacing to 100. And if it's below 720, I could say, okay, set letter spacing to 150 or something, right? However, no, there is totally a auto size here. Look, auto size setting, but it doesn't count for letter spacing. It doesn't count for most of the font settings, or at least not as far as I know. Unless inside of the font setting itself, there's a way to do it. No, it doesn't appear to be the case. No. I can definitely auto-size the text size, just not letter spacing, or at least not automatically. I have to do it manually, which might be something we do for like as a stretch goal. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep it at 100. I think I'm gonna keep it at 100 for now. Same goes for this one, because some of them just look too strange. Yeah, 100. I think, is that at 100? Oh no, it's 200. Never mind. So, wrong tab. This one. 200. Isn't letter spacing handled mostly by the font? I suppose it is. I just have not found a setting in which you can actually change that at all. Yeah, no, this is background and foreground colors. No, there's... Maybe if you make like a sub-font, right? Maybe that way you could do it. And you could just switch font on the fly. But I've never done that. And I have no idea if you would achieve the same results, right? So, I'm totally not sure. But for now, we'll keep it on these values. And in Asana, I'll... hold on. Let's make sure we add, and it contains numbers time format. Oops, numbers time format. We do letter spacing at 100, and Alan has it 1. And then if it contains numbers but plain numbers, right? Plain numbers. Then we can say letter spacing remains 50. And Alice has 1. Okay, very cool. And then let's see for time format. Let's not do 200. Let's make sure this says 100, right? Because that was the number we're using now. Here we go. All right, now basically have font rules for all different scenarios that we have in the game right now, which is font size 48, font size 36, and font size 24. And then also in the case of, okay, if it's only words, or if it's the time format, or if it's just plain numbers. So that way we have quite a few things. All right, so with that completed, I just need to think. Have I done it for everything now? I haven't done it for anything in the UI or in the main menu. But in here I have done it for everything. And this is this should be 50. Okay. So that is end of level screen. Totally cool. Let's close that. Let's close this. And let's close this. Let's close game UI as a whole. And then let's open up the menu again. Oh yeah, I have to change. This is so old. This is so very old. Where is here it is. Oops. Oops, can I rename please? Apparently not. Edit project details, here we go. Is there text in this? Oh no, it's just a static image. It's just a static image. Alright, very good. I must have been very lazy making this. I'll add it as a task onto the board. God damn it. Which means that it's blocking this one as well. Redesign main menu. And based on this, replace static images with modular pieces. At least where applicable, because sometimes you want just a static image where applicable. Apply letter spacing, and outline size. I think that's the two we want, which means because I have it in there now, I can complete this one because it's no longer blocking each other. Very good. I haven't been able to figure out this bug at all, but I'll add it on here. Sometimes when the player dies at a particular moment in the level section timer gets messed up and shows you achieving the level section 2 times over and over again. It's not a blocker because I can still finish the game. It's just it's a should fix more than a must fix. Repro steps, I have no idea. I don't know why. I don't know when this happens. I have no idea. Start the game in editor. Or as standalone application. Try to complete the level. Die near the end of a level section, or after already reaching the flag. This may be it, actually. This may very well be it. Oh, please tell me you saved. Yeah, you did. Cool. Yeah, so we'll pick up the menu at a different time because I need to procrastinate on that a little bit. Alright, numbers are looking good. So, now, I've reached the flag. If I now die and I try to redo it again, okay, it starts to count the right section time. Very good, and now confirm it. And then it starts counting the second section time. What if I die now? What happens then? Nope, still works. Okay. Let's see what happens next. Nope, it still works. Okay. This might be a case of I can't repro it anymore. It fixed itself at some point. So this is not true, but I know it happens after death. I know it happens after that. I just don't know when or why. But yeah. Let's initial investigation says this might be a non-repro bug. Let's see if it still if it comes in at some point. All right. Okay. So there's a couple of things I was going to show you guys. So Jagu, you were asking about the blocking volume, right? So this is one full actor. right? And what I've done, if I open this up for a minute, can I edit this inside the blueprint, please? Thank you. I haven't even commented this section. Okay, very good. So what I've done is this sets the movement for the two models here. So basically, what it does is once you enter this this hitbox, it registers in here, and it checks if it's the player, right? If it's the player touching the hitbox or not, just in case in the future I have AI running around and they might hit the hitbox. I don't want them to trigger this. It then says, okay, confirm the level section time, and for the level lock, which is this blocking volume down here, it basically says, where is it? It basically says, okay, set your new position way further up, right? So the player can't go backwards. However, this only happens on begin overlap. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I am doing it right. The joys of understanding your own code. So yeah, so this happens, and I'll comment this in a second so I don't forget next time. This happened, and it sets the level lock downwards, right? So in case the player is retrying, right, they don't get blocked by the level lock that is set based on a previous attempt. And so it basically moves the level lock back down, right? Then, when the player ends the overlap, and it again checks if it's actually the player or not, that's when it sets the level lock way higher up again. And that means that then at that point the player can actually go backwards, right? And so they can't sneakily find their way back around and try to reconfirm their time. I don't know why they would, but if they would try, they couldn't. Now the only thing I need to change right now is make sure that this is a bit wider in the X, something like that, I reckon. All right, let's check that out and check it out and compile and save. I think there's plenty of space, yeah. All right, and then let's get back into here. Whoa, engine fonts, no thank you. Let's go into blueprints, into level functionality, into this one, and let's check it in so I don't forget. Change, increased the size of the level lock on the x-axis to make sure players cannot jump around it anymore. Let's keep it checked out because I just realized I wanted to do something else. What I want to do is quickly move this down a little bit and then say okay. On begin overlap, check if it is the player overlapping. Oops. And then if true, confirm the level section time and reset the level lock's position. Like that. And then check if this is the last level section. If true, run the level finished code, and after delay, show the level finished UI. Level finished UI. Okay, cool. Now it's properly commented as well. Yeah. If the player, actually, on begin overlap, check if it is the player. If it is the player, if true, activate the manual reset code. There we go. The reason why I'm not going into specifics with these comments is because there is no comments in here, which I'll add in a second. Good commenting is part of a good job done. I know I'm being a hypocrite right now because in this case I have not commented my code. Set references to the most important blueprints in the game. Blueprints in the game. I see that one of my lights has gone off. Interesting. And then in here, oh, this is the resetting code. Oh yeah, oh, this is inside of the game mode. Oh right, okay. Okay, let's do the game mode at a different time. Guess else I'm gonna get stuff confused too quickly. And then here on end overlap, check if it is the player. Is the player? If true, move the level lock into position, and make sure the timer reset code runs. There we go. All right, now it's properly commented. Let me check. Yeah, I don't have any other functions in here, so this should be okay. Oh, there's a little piece here. Let's pull this a bit up. Let's pull this entire thing a bit up. Let's say set references to most important blueprints, like that. We always cover this as begin play, not for information's sake, but just so that in case we're working in a super large blueprint, we can always find it. There's other ways to find it as well. I believe you can even do Control F and then say begin play. Yeah, and then it finds it as well, and you can double click it in it. Yeah, okay. So you could also do that, but I like the visual way of doing it. And then this one is activate movement of checkmark and redo models. Here we go. Very nice. Okay. That's this whole thing commented, right? No, it's not. Set references to the game instance blueprint. Okay, and now everything's commented. Cool. Now we can check it in as well, because that's the important thing. Change added comments to my code. Pretty good. Alright, now that we've updated all of that, there's a few things. There's actually, yeah, at least you can still remember what the parts do and add the comments. Well, you say that. Hold on. God, I got something stuck in my throat for a second. Okay, so technically it was not too late. Technically speaking, yeah, it's not too late, right? Because I can still remember what it is. However, this is a pretty simple project at the moment. And so, and that was in particular a pretty simple blueprint. So it's pretty easy to read, right? If I look at something like, I think I do have more code inside my main character, yeah. And then if I go into my dash, no, into my dash endpoint, no. Playground spec, nope. Where is all this located? This is what I mean. I'm proving my own points at the moment. Oh, here we go. I found it. Right. If you're looking at into a bit more of a complicated blueprint, now I do see that I haven't gone as granular here as I maybe would have liked. But in this case, I can very clearly see, okay, dashing in a predetermined direction, the speed of the dash is determined inside of the timeline, right? So I've noted some pretty important things of, okay, how fast is this stuff? I'm not going to check this out because I'm not going to adjust it. And so in those cases, it's nice to have the more detailed comments. Yeah, this just falls just outside, which is okay. So yeah, so technically speaking, not too late because I do need to remember, but when you're working with more complicated blueprints, it's good to always comment your code as soon as possible. Can I save this? Actually, hold on. I need to just not save it. Can I just? I can't even revert it at the moment. Oh, I actually do this. I know. Revert. Yes, it's fine. Oh, is it gonna crash? Is it crashing? Yay, it crashed! Woo! Fuck's sake. Are you gonna tell me why you crashed? Of course you're not. When dumping external references. Sure, whatever that means. God damn it. Well, luckily enough, I save often, so. I save often, and I have everything connected to source control. Which means even if somehow something got corrupted, I'd be able to get it back. So I definitely recommend that to people. If you don't have if you don't have your projects hooked up to source control, I definitely recommend it. There's quite a few free ones that you can use. I currently use Perforce, and I only use Perforce because it is literally the thing. Oh, hello. Unrelated detector that didn't shut down cleanly at the following package of autosaves soda associated with. Would you like to restore use it? Did we do anything inside of the level? Did we move anything? Don't think we did. So let's skip the restore. I'm only using Perforce because that's the thing I got taught to use in university. And so for me, it's basically, it's basically the easiest one to use. But obviously you can choose things like Git or like SourceTree or whatever is out there. Plastic SCM and all that kind of stuff. Yes, we want to open up the UI. Because now we're actually going to implement the thing that we were prototyping earlier. Yeah, I heard about that. I heard about Plastic SCM getting integrated. So it makes it an obvious choice for Unity, absolutely. Makes it just so much easier. I think Perforce has a pretty nice integration with Unreal. So for me, that's, it's pretty okay. Yeah, whatever floats your goat, right? That's kind of how that works. Okay, so if I hide this again, and I unhide the game UI, let me also add a quick task for finishing the settings menu. Not that I've done any settings work yet. I do see I was making it in the UI, so I'm just wondering why that was. I'm using GitHub and it seems to work well enough. Yeah, then that's totally fine, right? That's not a problem. And there's obviously also the choice of, okay, I'm going to store this locally on my PC, which means if your PC burns down in spectacular fashion, then obviously you can't get it back. But it's easier to set up that way. Or am I going to store this online, let's say with Amazon Web Services or something? Then that's also a choice, but that's much harder to set up, in my opinion, right? I haven't done it too often, but the times that I did do it, it was hard. So, yeah. Currently, I'm just storing on my machine because my machine is only a year old, so it'll be okay. Okay, so what we want to do, what we want to implement, what the feature spec says. I should make a feature spec about this. I won't, mainly because I'm a little bit lazy. Mockup 3, faster element. Shall we make a feature spec about it? Let's do it. Let's do it. I wanna serve as a good example. All right, memory platformer. I'm just thinking, can I show this on stream? I want to make sure I don't show any of my personal information, right? So, just thinking how much of this I could show. Design, feature specs. So there's the world progression document I have, but that is too high level. So instead, I'll quickly copy and paste this feature spec, and then we can adjust it based on what we need. All right, let's see what shows. Oh, it's just my profile picture. Okay, no, it's totally fine. Cool. All right, so for those of you that don't know what feature specs are, I suppose we're doing a small game dev topic at the moment. Feature specs are a way of describing the factual way that your feature is going to work, both from a design, a technical, and an aesthetical perspective. And so feature specs are not written for the need of convincing someone else that we should have a feature. Instead, it's written to make sure that when I, as a designer, want a certain feature, that I can give it to a programmer and to an artist and to a producer and say, this is how it should work, right? And so we go super granular. And for example, in the case of jumping, I have, for the technical side, I have the player should be able to jump when the corresponding button is pressed. I have, after pressing the jump button, the player will be launched into the air, after which physics will take effect, and making the player come back down again through the use of gravity. If the player presses the jump button whilst they are already jumping, it will not work. Right? A programmer can take this and implement it according to these steps. Right? Now there's obviously a question of, okay, how does this interact with movement? But since this is just me working on it, it's okay. From a design perspective, I've said, okay, it should feel quick and snappy. It should be limited by only being able to jump after the player has returned back to the ground again, and it should give the player the opportunity to jump across 2 platforms at most. So based on these criteria, I can playtest this feature over and over and over again until all of these criteria are checked off, right? And for the first one, because this is very subjective, what feels quick and snappy, for the first one, in AAA, it'll be a design director or a lead designer who would say whether something feels quick or snappy or not. Ideally, you want to hear your playtester say the words quick and snappy, right? That'd be ideal. So keep that in mind. But in indie development, this is a relative criteria. What feels quick and snappy, I don't know, but there's a pretty good way that playtesters will say, you know, whether something feels quick or snappy. Also, hi Arkesh. Good to see you watching from YouTube. How are you today? Thanks for joining into the stream. So essentially, we're gonna write this, but then for the UI element, for retrying level sections, right? So how am I gonna call this? I'm gonna call this instead of jumping, retry level section UI. That's a pretty all-encompassing title. Retry level section UI. Very cool. All right, so we're gonna delete these. We're gonna delete this. There we go. We're gonna delete this. We don't have a sub feature here, so this will be like that. Okay, so in terms of design, what I want to achieve, the player needs to be informed whether their current attempt is faster or slower than their last attempt. Well, no, not even their last attempt, than their fastest attempt, right? Because it could be, if the player is retrying 10 times, it could be that try or attempt number 3 is their fastest so far. Then we want to make sure that every subsequent attempt is graded or is judged based on the fastest attempt we have, rather than the previous attempt. Because the previous attempt, if I don't know, if my fastest time is 5 seconds, and my next attempt is 10 seconds, and then the attempt after that is 9 seconds, and all of a sudden it says, okay, you're 1 second faster than your last attempt, which makes sense. However, I'm still 4 seconds slower than my fastest attempt. So, yeah, you know. Please suggest an easy multiplayer network for Unity. I'm sorry, I don't have any answers for you there. I don't use Unity, and I have not used any multiplayer tech. I've used a little bit in Unreal Engine, but nothing in Unity, that's for sure. Sorry about that. So yeah, so the player needs to be informed whether their current attempt is faster or slower than their fastest attempt. If the player finishes a section for the very first time, it should only be informed of the time it has set. Okay, then technically speaking, when the player reaches the flag, a UI element should appear on the screen. Showing how much faster or slower the player is than their fastest attempt. but there's a few caveats here. When the player is faster, color the numbers green. When the player is slower, color the numbers red. Color the numbers red. When it is the first time the player has completed the level section, color the numbers orange. Okay. Then what else should it be? Oh yeah. Okay. Then the when the player confirms their time, the UI element should disappear again. When the player retries a level section, the UI element should disappear again. Also, feature specs are a really great way of making sure that your features work as intended. Not only that, it is also really good for checking for inconsistencies before you even start implementing, right? Because just now we caught ourselves saying, oh, their last attempt, but that's not really it. It's the fastest attempt, right? And so you can kind of catch design mistakes really quickly that way. So I always really enjoy doing these feature specs, even though sometimes they take quite a bit of time. I'm just thinking, is there anything else we want to technically add? No, I don't think so. No, I think we're good this way. Okay, then aesthetically speaking, normally I don't really have mockups. So we're not going to use mockup 1 because we decided that was not the one we wanted. Mockup 2 had the faster, slower things, but without this. And then mockup 3 was the first time passing, right? So we'll quickly export this into JPEG. Mockup 2, and we'll quickly export this into JPEG as well into mockup 3, and then inside of my document, nope, inside of my document, UI art, and then this one, and there we go. Let's make sure it doesn't actually put a bullet point in front of it. Oh, for God's sake, that's annoying. The above image shows what the UI element should look like during the prototype phase. Yeah. It also shows what the numbers should look like when the player is either faster or slower than their fastest attempt. I am realizing this has quite a bit of impact on my data structure for how I save the times and stuff, so we're going to see what the implementation of this is going to be. I have no idea yet how hard it is going to be. I'm realizing it touches quite a few systems. And in this case, oh, nope. The above image shows what the UI element should look like during the prototype phase if it is the first time the player is reaching the end of the level section. Very cool. If it is a repeated attempt at completing this level section. Okay. I do see an inconsistency in terms of the length of the bars. I'm just realizing that now. There we go. Now it's consistent. Consistency is everything, guys. It's the one way that you make sure your games don't suck. Well, that and a whole lot of other factors, but consistency is a big one. Here we go. Right. Cool. And also, in this case, you know, if I were to hand this feature spec off to someone, then there is obviously an importance to make sure that I am consistent in my designs. Because if I would have left that inconsistency there, knowing it was there, then I shouldn't have been surprised if a build came my way and I was playing it and I was looking at it and I was like, wait, why is this this bar bigger the first time I do it? And the second time I do it, it's also a lot smaller. So it's all because of my inconsistency, and then stuff just takes extra time, because then a program needs to go back in, or an artist needs to go back in, and change the width of the bar, which is just a shame, because it takes them easy 5 minutes to first check everything out, apply the change, make sure it works properly, and then check everything back in again. And those 5 minutes could have been spent on something else. So especially when you're working on bigger projects, those 5 minutes accumulated constantly can account for days, weeks, sometimes months, in some cases even years. So yeah, let's make sure we work efficiently by being consistent. Okay, so we have written the feature spec, which means I'm going to keep it to the side now, like this. Can I make this a bit smaller so I can still see chat? There we go. Awesome. Alright, so now we gotta go into here. Okay, so let's first get it visually in, with some text in it, and make sure it appears, and then we make sure the data gets hooked up properly, because we need to be able to see it visually. If we what's it called? If we want to be able to test if the data input works properly, right? Okay, so let's try and get this in. So inside of the game UI, I can quickly turn off the level section, no, the end level screen, right, like that. And then in terms of setup, how did I do this again? So it's just it's a border with a vertical box inside. Right. Okay, let's also make sure we quickly open up the initial setup, or the initial mockup, so that I can always refer back to it again. Because it's a horizontal box that has it's a vertical box that has 3 horizontal boxes in it with some spacers inside, to make sure that we can account for screen spaces changing, right? Screen sizes changing. Okay. All right. Cool. Yep. Okay. All right. I've got it in my head more or less. All right. So border, please. Let's make this a bit bigger. Let's make sure we anchor this at the top. Actually, no, we'll anchor this in the middle. I think that should be a lot better. Across the whole screen. Is it gonna stretch too much? It might stretch too much. Let's do it in the middle. Okay. So let's make sure the position of this, because it looks a bit off. Minus 550, minus 500. Nope. Minus 525. Almost. Minus 540. Looks almost right. Minus 545. Oh, that's a bit too much, because it's 1080. That is the width of the screen. So minus 540 should be correct. And I almost would say it is. Oh yeah, it's basically on half a pixel. Yeah, okay, it's basically on half a pixel. Which means minus 540.5 the other way. Minus 539.5. Wait, what? Minus 540. Minus 541. Oh, minus 542. minus 542.5. Almost. Minus 543. Oh, bollocks. Minus 543. That's good enough. Okay, let's keep it there for now. No one can see the pixel difference, right? And in terms of height, let's make it go a bit higher. Up there, maybe? Something like that. It's initial implementation. We'll get to something nice at some point. Alright, okay. Then, in terms of actual color, let's see what the actual color was for this one. Here we go. Very good. So that works perfectly. Again, I'm by no means an artist, so any art feedback is always appreciated. All right. Whoa. What the hell? Double property, unsupported type. Excuse me? Binding property script on widget health bar. Member get %0 unable to bind double property unsupported type. And does the same thing for the dash reset. Get %0. Excuse me? This should be totally fine. There should be nothing wrong with this. This comes from the main character. Where does this one come from? Also the main character. Okay, let's open up the main character. Let's see what happens. That is strange. I've not run into that before. It wasn't throwing up errors earlier. Because if I try to play now, does it throw up errors? Yes, it does. Haha. Okay. And it was the variables of dash recharge. Find references. So in here. And in here. Might have to Google this, to be honest. I have no idea. What does it say? Unable to bind double property unsupported type. Let's find out, shall we? Let's Google this together. I'll show you guys how I Google stuff. UE5, unable to bind. There we go. Googling skills. A guide to binding properties inside of UMG. If you bind a property of a widget and then directly call the set function on that widget, it'll break the binding. No, this is not the same thing. So do the bindings still, are they still assigned? Let's start with that. Let's see if that is still a thing. Game UI health bar. Yeah, the binding is definitely still a thing. What if I quickly remove the binding and then all of my bindings are gone? That is worrisome. I'm ready to get %0. Has something changed in UE5 to do with progress bars? Because if I go into here, into let's say Hold on, let's say a level section's time. Let's unlock it. Oh, right, no, never mind, it's up here. So get text 2. If I remove the binding, yeah, get text 2. That totally works. So why does it not work on the health bar? Is it just a naming issue? Looks like it is. Okay. Okay. So then, if I go into the dash reset, and I say remove binding, and I say create binding, yeah, it might be some legacy stuff going on. Sorry, not health bar percent, sorry. I need to get, where is it? Get dash reset percent. Oh, balls. This one. Here we go. Yeah, that seems to work fine. Can I play it again now as well? Yep, looks like I can. Does it still work properly? Yeah. Huh. Strange. Bug fixed though, so that's kind of cool. So now I can go and get %0. I don't think there's any references to this further. Oh, there's still one. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's the thing itself. Okay, cool. Cool. Alright, fixed it. Alright, very good. Okay. So we've got this. Then let's check the image again. It needs to have the section name at the top, and it needs to have the actual number stuff at the bottom. Okay, so inside of this border, which we want to really group under our game UI section, this is a level section stuff, end of level screen. So this border we want to put under game UI, because it's part of the same game UI, right? Then we want to attach a, let's include this, the button, progress bar I like, the text I like, and vertical box and horizontal box. Those are two that I like the most. Or some of the, excuse me, why? Oh, you can, what, you can only favorite one? Excellent. Okay. Yeah. All right. Bugs in Unreal Engine 5. Am I right? So we have a vertical box that we need to actually surround by spacers, so that it adjusts to the. Oh, shit. No, actually, we need to start with the horizontal box. Horizontal box like that. And then put some spacers in it. 1 spacer, 2 spacer, and then a vertical box like we had before, which we put inside here and put in between the spacers, right? So essentially what the spacers do, if we set the spacers to fill, what they will do is they will make sure that it takes into account the text size in the middle, right? Or, well, whatever the content is inside of the vertical box. And it'll make sure that it's always in the middle, right? So that the vertical box never really looks offset to the left or offset to the right, unless you want that to happen, right? So it's a really useful way to make sure that your elements are always in the middle, or always on one side, or always wherever you want them located. It's something that I've learned how to use, and it is incredibly helpful. Horizontal box, and inside that horizontal box, I'm also thinking, do we need spacers from top to bottom? I don't think so. No, I think it should be okay. Okay, so inside of the horizontal box, we again want spacers. Yep, like that. And then we want some text inside of it. Like that. We want that nicely in the middle. We want this to be size 36 with letter spacing 100. Is that the right one? Oops. Only words 36 now needs to be 50. Okay. 50, and then outline size. What was it again? 2. Here we go. Awesome. Okay. All right. Then below that, we want another horizontal box. I might actually be able to copy and paste it actually. Yep. There we go. Awesome. And we want to say, okay, the text here is 24. It is actually supposed to be in the middle, which means we need to set these to fill. Here we go. And fill here and fill on the other side. And then inside the text block, I probably want to, for the horizontal block, I want to make sure I have a padding at the top for about 20, I reckon. 20 looks good. Yeah, I think that should be fine for now, because that matches with our design, right? With our mock-up. Yeah, okay, so that's actually a pretty easy mock-up, to be fair. Okay, all right. So now what we need to do. Okay, what we need to do when the player hits the flag, which is part of level functionality, BP level finish. Let's see, when it begins to overlap of the hitbox, it checks if it's the player. If it's true, it'll activate the level section finished code inside of my main game mode. Okay, let's dive in there. What happens then? It pauses the timer by handle. That's the only thing it does. Are we sure that's the only thing it does? Oh, yeah, of course that's the only thing it does, because it's not supposed to run any other code at the moment. Yeah, okay, no, this is fine. Okay, yeah, okay. So what we want to do, we want to make sure that, let's rename this border. Let's call it faster, well, end of level section screen, like that. We want to set this entire thing and every one of its children, we want to set it to not be visible, to be hidden, initially speaking, right? So that when you start playing the game, it's not automatically there. And then we want to say, okay, let's pull this out a bit because it's now going to become a bit larger. Yep. We want to say, I'm just quickly looking through my references in here. Do I have a reference to my UI? I do not. I only have one to the game instance. Okay. Well, let's go into the game instance. Let's get from the main character, because I know it's set. No, actually, it's set in the player controller. Sorry. Get PC. Player controller, main controller, and then get UI. Nope. Oh, there it was. I saw it. Nope. Hold on. In the controller. Where's my UI reference? Unless I have it actually in the game instance, that might very well be the case. Yes, I do. Awesome. Cool. Make sure I don't stack references too often. All right. So instead of UI master UI, great naming. Get set visibility. Not for this one though. I want to get end of level. Oh, hold on. I forgot something. I forgot to set this entire thing as a variable. That is important, because else we can't access it. Get end of level level section screen, like that. And then we say set visibility. In the future, we'll set this as an animation, but for now I don't think I have the time on this stream to show how that works. Or to show how I would do that. Alright, nice. I always take or where I can, I take the top hat approach. So it always shows, okay, what the order is of our references. And it sets the visibility to visible, right? Because we know that the player has reached the flag. And I think that is all I need to do at the moment. In this case. Set the end of level section screen to visible. Okay. Because now, if I... Whoa, we need to check out some things. Alright, yeah. So sometimes what it does, if you save changes to the game mode, it also saves those changes to all of the level instances that I have loaded into the main level. And so even though you don't change anything in those level instances, it still wants to save it. Okay, so now what happens is if I complete this level real quick. There we go. It says text block, text block. Perfect. Works as intended. Very good. I do say I want to add a bit of padding on the top there. Let's add that a little bit. Let's add a little bit of padding there at the top. There we go. That's plenty. All right. Excellent. Very good. So then what we need to do, I'm wondering, and this is the part where I need to remember what I did last time. I'm wondering if I'm saving anywhere which level section the player is currently in. And if I'm not, then I need to figure out how I'm going to do that in a nice and clean way. What happens when the player starts the timer? When it overlaps, checks if it's the player, and it goes into timer start. Inside of timer starts, it only does this once. It sets the timer by function, and it sets the reference level timer as a variable. Okay. So what happens when I confirm or try to retry my time? Yeah, if I confirm my level section, checks if it's the player. It fires the level section time confirmed in the main game mode. Which then it says, okay. It grabs the timer, the current timer, and it adds that to the level times array. And then it checks, okay. It checks whether we've finished which section. Because if we finished section 1, how does it determine which section we finished? Ah, okay. I have no idea how I'm going to explain this for the people on stream. I understand what I did. I get it. Let's try to explain this, because then I feel like I might understand it a bit better myself. So what happens when the player plays a level, there is an empty array in which level section times can be stored. When the player completes a level section, it checks, completes the level section and wants to confirm their time. The game checks whether the first slot of the array has been filled in or not. Is empty or not. Is empty or not. If it is not empty, the game knows that the player is no longer in level section 1. Right? It keeps checking each entry in the array until it finds an empty spot. And then it will add the current level timer to that slot. Yeah, that's basically what it does, right? So when, and I'm just double check this. Yeah, and so because arrays start at 0, not at 1, right, with their count, level section 1 is level section integer 0, right? That's kind of like the equal. So whatever the level section you're in, it's -1 to know which index of the array you're in. I remember doing that. Because I could, of course, also set it up that inside the function, it just does -1 for whatever integer gets passed in. But why would I? This is easier. Hard-coded values. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that's how the game knows which section the player is in. So that means yeah. That means I need to go into my UI master. I need to go into the graph, create an extra variable called level section. From the top of my head, what is the... Let's create a binding. It's a text. Okay, cool. Also, instead of calling this get text 9, I'm just going to rename this real quick into get level section text. So what this does, or what I need to do is I essentially, it's very simple actually. What I need it to do is only to read whatever is stored inside of this level section variable, right? It's a really simple binding. However, what is less simple is knowing inside of my game mode which section the player's in before they try to confirm their time, right? Because this section happens after we pause the timer. How am I going to do that? I could... Yeah, because I don't want to confirm the time yet before the player has chosen to do so. I could do a similar check again. Right, I could do a similar sequence again. And see what comes out. But I need to make it a bit cleaner, I think. I should make it a loop instead. Yep, let's do that. Oops. For each loop. Oh, it requires an array. Let's do that the other way around. Let's do it a for loop. Oh, can I just get a normal for loop, please? For loop. The first index is 0, the last index is 3. So it counts 4 times, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, which is 4 times. Then for every loop, so for every time it fires, it is going to go into, it's going to check, I'm also going to do this, it's going to check whether the current index has been failed inside of the level times array, right? Which means that if the answer is true... Oh, wait, hold on. Have I flipped this round? Yes, I have. Okay. Sorry. If the answer is false, because the result says whether a section has been not completed, right? So if that's true, then it means... Actually, no, wait. I think that's fine. Section not completed, true, means we're in that current section. Yes, that's good. That's fine. Okay. All right. Which means if we're not in that... if we haven't completed it... I think I can do a select, and then instead of the index being... Oh yeah, no, actually, yeah, no, yeah, this is fine. So the index will give us... yep. Let's make it look a bit nice. Or a bit clean, at least, so this doesn't look super bad. But I want these to be text values, which I can set up by going into here, get ref UI master UI, get level section. There we go. Oh no, wait, I need to set level section. Sorry, set level section. Now, this won't work one try, right? There's no way this will work in one go. Nothing ever does. And if it does, you're a magician. But let's give this a shot. So, we want to say section 1, section 2. I have no idea what the flags are for. Option. Oh yeah, you can localize it as well. Which I've never done that for games. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Section 4. There we go. My dog is barking. I'm sure it's fine. Okay. So now, based on this approach, which will only fire once... yeah, it'll show the right one. Let's find out. Let's also save this for a quick moment. Alright, so this should show section 1 in a moment. It doesn't, and I just figured out why. Essentially, it will only run true, right? Because we haven't completed any section yet, and so for every section it'll say, yeah, this is totally true. So what we need to do, and I've already figured out how to fix it, we need to do a for loop with break, right? We just need it, as soon as it hits one where it says, yes, this is true, we need it to stop. We can't have it continue. And so what we do for that, to not make it look ugly, we create a custom event that only gets called when we say it does. That is called something like break level section name for a loop. Right, make it a little bit specific since we're only using it here. And then basically, if this is true, break level section name for loop. Right, like that. Because now, what'll happen? It'll run true on the first entry of the array, which means that it'll stop counting and it'll say section 1. Now, we're not done, because now we need to make sure the block disappears again when we confirm our level section. And so that should be pretty easy, because inside of here... no, actually, let's not do it inside of the game mode. We can do it inside of our confirm retry platform thing. Let's see, is this begin overlap? Begin overlap. Let's put these two a bit closer together because they do similar things. And let's make sure that all of this stuff happens right after it checks whether the player is in the current cube or not. is in the current hitbox or not. So let's make sure we access the game instance, and then we check get ref master UI, and then we say get end of level section screen, and we say set visibility to hidden. Right, let's make sure it runs through, and let's copy and paste this for the above as well, just to make sure that we... Oh no, well, hold on, I can just do this. There we go. Like that, and we'll just separately comment this saying hide end of level screen. Okay, now I just need to move some of these things a bit more, just to make sure. There we go. Oops, let's make sure we move this back in. There we go. Alright, so that should mean now that that it should disappear again once we hit that check mark, once we hit that that retry circle. Yep. Okay, so it hides when we hit the check mark. Let's test if it hides when we hit the retry. Still says section 1. Huh. Strange. But it does again hide when we retry. Because now we have set that section 1 does have a time in it. So this should now say section 2, but it doesn't. Why not? What we just implemented does work, so that's cool. Oh. Forgot to set the value. I should really make the last index the length of the level times array. Get length. Length. There we go. Because if I decide to have more than four level sections in any level in the future, then it would break because I've hard coded the value, and that's a bad idea. So let's make sure we get the length of this. Oh, but that's not going to work because the length doesn't get preset. No, the length's going to be 0 because it only gets increased when this happens. Okay, there's no way to make that simple. Okay, let's hard code it. We'll consciously choose for it in that case. Yep. Okay. Alright, let's try that again. Alright, so that's section 1, it disappears, great. Then it says section 2, and let's say we retry, disappears, perfect, awesome. Section 2, okay, we confirm. Section 3, yep, perfect. Section 4, awesome. Yep, okay, very cool, very awesome. Alright, glad that works. But now, let's comment this, make sure we have it commented. It's always a good thing to do. I'm going to make this one big comment. Run through the level times array, checking in which section the player has not yet set a time. Based on the result, assign that level section name to the level section text in the master UI. Nice. Alright, awesome. Okay, because now what we get is something that we'll leave for later, I think. Yeah, let me just quickly write a task for it. Do I already have a task for it? I do not have a task for it. Okay, well, let's add a task for it. end of level section UI element like that. And so what we'll do is we'll add into this description, we'll add the link to the feature spec, right? Make sure that we have that in there. Feature spec like that. And then in a second I'll also add a comment that says left off at implementing the actual time for the first time completing level section and the implementation of redoing the level section. Okay, so that way I know next time where I left off, right? Just a little reminder for myself. Because I think that the next section is going to be pretty significant, and I only have 4 minutes left of this stream, so I don't want to start something and not be able to finish it on stream, right? Or at least that's what I want to try. So what we'll do is give you guys a chance to ask some last questions if you have any, and also just talk about how the session has gone, because this was obviously a very different type of live stream than what I've done previously, and I hope you guys enjoy it, because surprisingly I pretty much enjoy these types of streams. I never thought I would, but it's actually quite nice to get real-time feedback on what I'm doing, and it actually allows me to iterate a lot faster, and kind of to also get out of that bubble of, okay, I think it should go this way, and so, you know, that kind of happens. Hey, Yggdrasil, thanks so much for the follow. Really appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. And thanks for joining the stream. I really appreciate it. It really helps me to get out of that bubble of, okay, I think this is right. But then you guys can come in and say, okay, I actually think, you know, let's add the outline here, or let's change the letter spacing, or what are you doing over there? It's super, super cool. And so I'm actually really glad that I tried this approach to streaming. Means also I can leave a bit more space between my game dev topic sections that I do on other streams, because there's only so many game design topics that I can talk about at any time. And so, you know, it also gives me more time to come up with new topics, because the last thing I want to do is to have to start generating low quality topics just to have content, right? That's not what I want to do. I want to make sure that the content I make, that it's actually useful for you guys. And so, you know, I just want to make sure I can keep providing that for you guys, and, you know, forcing myself to come up with a new topic every 2 weeks, it's just a little intense. Or it's going to cause low quality content at some point, right? So, so doing these kinds of streams, if you guys like them and I like them, then I think this is something we can do much more often. Definitely once every week, if there's nothing, if I'm not on holiday or anything, or if there's nothing particularly going on that day. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I'm happy to see that you guys also enjoyed it. So it's really, really cool. Really appreciate that. But that's basically going to conclude the stream for right now. For those that want to, obviously feel free to follow. That'd be totally cool if you think I earned it. If you don't think I've earned it, that's totally fine as well. Similarly, if you want to keep talking with me about all kinds of things about game development or game design, feel free to join the Discord. I just posted in the Twitch chat. For the YouTube audience, it is in the description down below. And beyond that, I hope that you will have a lovely day and a lovely weekend. And then we will see each other in another Game the Topic stream, hopefully next week. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you guys later. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.